What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV. There's a lot to go over and a lot more shitty play from the Patriots, plus a potential trade candidate. Let's dive in. Well, Davonte Adams requested a trade officially today, and obviously, with as much has been going on with the Patriots and the wide receiver market, naturally everyone is asking and everyone is giving their opinions on whether or not we should trade for Davonte Adams. Well, the answer is no. No, we should not trade for Davonte Adams. Do I want to trade for a wide receiver that's going to be 32 years old in December? No, I don't. Does Davonte Adams, this is the most important thing, does Davonte Adams want to play for New England? Probably not. He's getting old. He wants to win a Super Bowl, I'm sure. He's already getting paid. He wants to go win a Super Bowl, play for a contender. We can't even throw the ball downfield. I can count on one hand how many times we've thrown the ball 20 yards, I'll say, downfield. And the only one I can remember off the top of my head truly is that Tyquan Thornton throw in the Jets game where Jacoby Brissett missed him by 5 yards, and it was really only good for the defensive pass interference that Thornton drew. He's owed $72.5 million over the next 2 years, according to Albert Breer. And the Las Vegas Raiders are looking to get a second-round pick for him. Now, do I think they are going to get a second-round pick for Davante Adams? No, especially since he has the leverage in this situation. But I think that second-round draft pick is worth more to a rebuilding team, as we are, than Davante Adams, who wouldn't be good or wouldn't be useful to us truly to compete until the last year on his contract when he's going into his age 34 season. So that doesn't really add up to me. Who do I think is going to trade for him? Well, the Chiefs for a short-term fix. Not sure if the contract really works out there, but I'm sure they could make it work with how the NFL is structured with their salaries and all the loopholes. But two teams that I really want to see Davante Adams on, the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders. Can you imagine Lamar or Jaden Daniels with Davante Adams as a weapon? Lamar hasn't really had a true wide receiver one ever, and used to use Mark Henry a lot, but if you've been paying attention, Mark Andrews seems washed up completely. And as far as the Commanders go, their ex-receiver is Noah Brown. So imagine pairing Davante Adams with Terry McLaurin. That's a pretty dynamic duo, if you ask me. As far as the Patriots go, another abysmal week, and I was expecting it. I think most people were expecting it, the results we got. But Gerard Mayo, of course, after the game, naturally, from the media was asked, is Jacoby Brissett still the quarterback? Is Drake May going to take over? To which Gerard Mayo said he'll look at the film and assess. But he knew Jacoby Brissett was going to remain the starter. Gerard has a plan with Elliott Wolf on Drake May, and they're going to stick to it regardless of how poor Jacoby Brissett plays and how piss poor of a performance our offense puts on in total. So you guys can bitch and moan about Drake May not playing. It's not going to happen until a certain week that is in play, and Mayo is going to stick to that plan. It took him less than 24 hours after that press conference to say Jacoby Brissett would be the starting quarterback going into Baltimore, into Miami. And I think he just said we're going to look at the film and assess to stay consistent with how he looks at the team as a whole. Every position, he's going to look at the film and assess every position. He's been sticking to that theory since the preseason, but in his own mind, he's thinking differently. He knows that Jacoby Brissett is going to remain the starting quarterback until week X, whatever X is, when Drake May takes over. And it's really unfortunate for Gerard because this is kind of a lose-lose for him. You don't start Drake May, you get hate from the fans. You start Drake May, he does well, then fans complain that he didn't get playing time earlier. You start Drake May, he does poorly. Well, that's a reflection on the coaches. And why is he playing so early? The offensive line is in shambles. The wide receivers aren't ready, and it'll hinder his development. There's going to be shade thrown from all directions, no matter what Gerard Mayo does. So at the end of the day, he needs to do what he thinks is best, because he's going to get hate for it anyways. My question is, when will the players on the Patriots push for the QB change? You've seen Jalen Polk and Demario Douglas complain because they're not getting the ball on the field. It's evident in film and live during the game. You could probably catch it if you pay attention. Soon enough, they're going to want to change to Drake May. Also, the defense hasn't been performing, but what happens when they have a stellar game? Potentially this upcoming game, they don't let up a lot of points, but the Patriots still manage to lose because the offense can't produce any points. Then who knows? Maybe the defense is calling for a change at quarterback and your whole locker room is in an abyss. Interesting to pay attention to. As far as the game goes against the 49ers, yes, Jacoby did play like shit again. His pocket presence has just completely disappeared. It's gone. He's not making correct reads, and he's getting absolutely rocked by the defense, which is what you can attribute to him having no more pocket presence. His footwork is all over the place. He's rushing his decision-making, and you would think pre-snap he'd be making more decisions so he's prepared for all this pressure that he's been facing, and he's not even doing that anymore. He's completely flustered back there, and yeah, I still agree with him playing. Sorry. You think May can handle that? I don't know, maybe. I assume he is mentally tough. He seems like a good kid, mentally strong. He played with a bad offensive line at North Carolina, but that's a different animal than professional sports. May, we saw it with Mac Jones. Look at Mac Jones' rookie year. And then you screw him over with a terrible play caller, which Alex Van Pelt is proving to be also. It's a little too early to officially say that yet, in my opinion. You give him less weapons. You give him not so good of an offensive line, and look what happened to Mac. He digressed every year until everyone was booing him out of Gillette Stadium. What's not to say history will repeat itself? You think Elliott Wolf wants to see that happen again? He already witnessed it. He knows why he's in charge right now, because past regime screwed up with Mac Jones. Elliott's going to take his time and make sure 110% that Drake May is ready to go in there before. Ramondre Stevenson. What are we going to do with him? Our best offensive player is playing like shit. So he fumbled for the fourth time in 4 games, and if you have just about any other coach in the NFL, he would have been benched in the middle of that game, right after he fumbled. But Gerard Mayo, being the nice guy he is, let him stay in the game. And now listen, I don't blame him because we need Ramondre, and he is our best player. But Antonio Gibson has proven that he is worthy of snaps, rushing, and receiving. And JaMychal Hasty, even the few chances he's gotten during the 49ers and in the preseason before that, has proven to be a valuable runner. So why keep Ramondre in. Teach him a lesson. Get him on the bench. And send a message to your other players, Mayo, that you're not just going to give them all this leeway when they're screwing up. It can't be that way. Especially, you know what, honestly, in a game that you probably went in there thinking you would lose and you're already down 2 scores, bench him. That's my take. And the offensive line got worse. I didn't know it would be possible, but it did get worse. And a lot of it had to do with Davonte Adams starting at left tackle. Listen, he is our 4th starting tackle this year, a practice squad player, starting against a top premier edge rusher. So I'm not going to blame Jacobs too much. He got thrown into the ring without a lot of preparation, and it showed. He did get embarrassed by Bosa. There was one play on film where Bosa literally made Davonte Adams do a 180, and his back was to the rest of the game. It was pretty embarrassing. There was multiple other plays where Jacobs could barely get his hands on Bosa before Bosa blew right by and got pressure on the quarterback. But Jacobs, again, thrown right into the fire, didn't really have too much preparation and didn't have high expectations from fans. So that is what it is. City So, making his first start of the year. He hasn't played in over a month because of his injury. He also had his fair share of mistakes. A guy that was supposed to save our offensive line going into this game just didn't show up. I'm going to do something new. I have the film. I'm going to show you guys where some of the plays were that he screwed up, where he can improve. Let's roll it. So you see on this first play, as Polk comes in motion, City So is at left guard, completely blown by backup defensive tackle Jordan Elliott. Just terrible. If you get the end zone angle, look at his posture. It's just, this is college level stuff you learn. Leans over, weight is all over the place, not balanced at all, and Elliott makes him pay. I mean, look how easy it is. Nick Leverett's in the game at this point. He does his job. You can't blame Nick Leverett. He gets a hand on him. So's supposed to turn him here. And look it. Antonio Gibson immediately has to make a cut. And does Warner make that play even if So makes his block? Yeah, maybe, but you still get a couple yards in the direction you want it to go to. So that was a really bad one for So. Now we have a screen pass to Ramondre, and it's going to be Leverett, Robinson, and So pulling. You can see how poorly that ended up for Robinson. But look at this. What you want to do is a quick 1 count and then release the 3 interior linemen. 1,000 and go. You can count it in your head as they do it. But look at City So just miss his block. Or stay on it too long. He stays on it way too long, and the result is a Stevenson tackle for a loss. So City So is supposed to be all the way in front on Leverett's left side. He would have been there to make that block. But look at this. Look at all of the space that Ramondre Stevenson would have been working with here had So made his block. You have a 3-on-2. You have the numbers advantage. Plus your receiver on the outside trying to hold his guy. Look at all this space. If So makes the block here, all of that space. That could have gone for a touchdown. It made so much of a difference in that game. But held on to his block too long, and look at the result. It's stuff like that that the Patriots need to fix. Center, David Andrews, injured. Who knows how long he's going to be out. He didn't come back in the game, and Leverett replaced him. Leverett held his own, I guess, but he's not going to be Andrews. And if you remember the preseason, when Leverett was playing center, he had trouble snapping the ball. Everyone other than David Andrews had trouble snapping the ball. So don't be surprised if that happens over the next week or two if Andrews can't play. And you never know when it's going to happen. It could happen any offensive snap. So be prepared for that. Layden Robinson, there's just been some clear growing pains with Layden Robinson. The rookie mistakes are ridiculous. Fundamentally, not knowing the scheme, he's stepping the wrong way. It'll be an outside zone run to the right, and his first step is left. A quick step left and then right. But it's enough when you're going against an NFL defensive tackle where that's enough, they'll get by. It's just really, it's simple stuff that Scott Peters is responsible for teaching him, and Scott Peters isn't getting to his head. So you gotta blame both the coach and the player there. Robinson, I'll cut you some slack because you're 4 games into your career, and I see glimpses of really good play, I do. But it's simple stuff that you need to fix. And Peters, that's on you as well. Mike Onwenu held his own. Actually liked a couple of his reps against Bosa. He seems to have improved every game, in my opinion. For a guy that put on a bunch of weight to play guard, he's moving better and better every week at tackle and getting more in shape to play that. Will he stay there? I don't know. It depends when our line is healthy. Who stays where, who moves, who gets bumped out of the line, the starting line. But Onwenu has been probably the most stable player across this offensive line this season. Hopefully, Vidarian Lowe is back next week, which is ridiculous to say, but he has been the best left tackle that we've seen this year, preseason included, obviously. And we need him. We need at least someone that we know can play left tackle at least, that has a natural ability to play left tackle. That's enough on the offense. The defense. Who stuck out on the defense? Keion White, again, for another week, stuck out. Now, last week I talked about him being overrated. His run defense, not that good. Well, his run defense picked up a little bit this week. But the number one job he had this week was containing. I said it last week. We need to contain Brock Purdy, who likes to extend plays by escaping the pocket. Yeah, Keion White, this is via NFL Pro, 7 QB pressures. That's a 26.9 pressure rate, which is more than double any other game he's had this year. That's good. Most of his career, actually, the 7 QB pressures. And against a good offensive line. But you take those, and on the flip side, you compare it to how many times he screwed up his containment assignments against the 49ers, and how much better off our defense would have been as a whole if he made Brock Purdy stay in the pocket and make decisions from there. When Brock Purdy has to stay in the pocket, he freaks out, usually, and can't handle staying in there that long. He gets uncomfortable, and Keion White just couldn't handle the containment. He really just didn't set the edge, and you know what I'll say, it takes a lot of discipline to be a pass rusher and also have containment, because his mindset is get the sack. But He just hasn't matured enough as a player to contain instead of going for the numbers. Also, got some film to show for that. Let's roll it. All right, if we take a look here, Keion White is going to be lined up at the bottom of the screen. And look at what he does here. Runs way upfield behind Brock Purdy, about 6-7 yards. And what does Brock Purdy do immediately? Scrambles. That is what he's going to do. Look at this. He starts, the ball is at the 9-yard line. All right? The 9-yard line. So Keion needs to go about 4 yards, 5 yards maybe. He ends up almost at the 4-yard line. Excuse me, the ball was at the 14. So he went 10 yards upfield, double what he should have to try and get the sack. So that's problem number one. But he does it again. Watch again. Keion lined up at the bottom of this defensive line. Goes inside to try and make another play. And what does Brock Purdy do? The same exact thing. Scrambles for a first down. Now, instead of running straight upfield, what does he do? Tries to get a pass rush move on the best left tackle in the NFL. And he didn't even come close to getting by him. And Purdy took it and ran with it and got another first down. Here is a third one. In the first quarter, may I say. The third one in the first quarter. Now, Keion White is going to do, he's lined up straight ahead with Dietrich Wise on the outside. They're going to pull off a stunt here. And instead of Keion White going to the outside for Wise to get on the inside, Keion takes the inside and screws up the whole stunt. Now, I gotta blame Covington a little bit on this because, yeah, I get it. You're trying to get some pressure going, but Keion, already struggling with keeping containment, couldn't do it. Look at that. The whole, more than half of the field is open for Purdy to scramble to. And what happens? A Kittle catch right at the 6-yard line, puts him right outside of the end zone. So, terrible performance from Keion White when it came to that. Now, the rest of the line did a pretty good job in general, but as far as getting pressure, no one is getting pressure on Brock Purdy. It's been a terrible performance all around on the defensive line effort for a couple weeks now. Now, you take a step back. The linebackers, McMillan, inconsistent again. This is like the best you're going to get from Raekwon McMillan. Sometimes got caught on blocks, sometimes got off of blocks. Fundamentally, he's not the best, but he is a high motor player, likes to make plays, just rushing around the field. He did attack Dominic Pooney, their right guard, their rookie that I said we needed to get after. And he did a little bit. Sometimes Pooney got the best of McMillan, sometimes vice versa. There was a couple good plays I saw from McMillan. But Jelani Tavai just did not have a good game in my opinion. He can't pass cover. His zone coverage is terrible. And his rush defense is inconsistent. At least it was this game. I got some more film on that. Take a look at this. The first play you're going to see here, Tavai lined up at the top of the linebacker box, goes in and falls for the play action and completely disregards his zone in pass coverage. And look at what happens. Ayuk goes for, 30-plus yards? Watch this. McMillan and Tavai are supposed to split the two middle sections in zone here. And Tavai goes all the way over. Look at that. Turns his body to recover. So he can't get a read on Purdy while this is happening. Falls for the play action. Goes all the way over to the left hash mark. when he's supposed to be beyond the right hash mark, and Brandon Ayuk is wide open. That is just awful. That is horrendous pass coverage from Tavai. And it wasn't the only mistake, terrible mistake, I'll say, in pass coverage. This one, luckily, however, got called back because of a penalty, but Tavai, you're going to see him on use check at the top of the screen around the 10-yard line. And he's doing good, nothing's open. And then all of a sudden, he decides it's time for him to go get Brock Purdy. Completely disregards his guy. I'm not sure what he was thinking there. If he thought someone behind him would pick him up. But everyone behind him had someone on them that they were covering. So Tavai should have stayed there. And look at this. He goes off screen, but look at how many people are already getting to Purdy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people. Why is Tavai thinking he needs to get pressure from 15 yards away? And he completely abandons Juszczyk. Again, luckily, there was a penalty, and it got called back. But that just is a terrible effort from Tavai. I don't know, he just freaks out. His mind is not there when it comes to pass coverage. He can't figure it out. I think it's time to give Christian Ellis a shot. He made a great play on special teams to force fumble that gave us some momentum for a little bit. And he showed promise in the preseason when he got playing time at inside linebacker, albeit against teams' second-string players. But you got to give him a shot. McMillan and Tavai just aren't proving that they should be out there every single play. Jawan Bentley is really being missed right now. You can tell that there's a big gap in our defense left because of Bentley's injury. I think it's time we give Christian Ellis a shot just to see what he can do. We have nothing else to lose, really. It can't get too much worse than what you're getting out of Tavai and McMillan. As far as our secondary goes, Christian Gonzalez. I don't care what anyone tells you. Christian Gonzalez is a certified top 10 cornerback in this league. And I think you could make an argument for top 5. And again, this is via NFL Pro, the next-gen stats stuff. Versus Brandon Ayuk. He covered Brandon Ayuk for 13 of his routes. On those routes, Ayuk got targeted twice. Just twice. He caught a ball once for 10 yards. Now listen to this. Gonzalez is the only cornerback to line up against a single receiver on 70% or more of their routes every game this season. So Christian Gonzalez is sticking to a receiver every game. Mostly, it's the other team's number 1 receiver. And he's covering them on 70% or more of their routes that they're running. So the defense is has a lot of trust in Christian Gonzalez to clamp down the other team's number 1 wide receiver. This is what all the elite cornerbacks, do in the NFL, and Covington is trusting Gonzalez to do this, and he is succeeding at a very high level. On top of that, this is a good one. An opposing defender has lined up against Brandon Ayuk on 70% or more, the same number, of his routes in just one of his 64 career games where he logged at least 10 routes. The only other player, Darius Slay, that was in the 2023 season, week 13. So he's the second person ever to be trusted to cover Brandon Ayuk that much in a game. Now, the 49ers have weapons, so, I'm sure a lot of defenses game plan on certain lineups, but Brandon Ayuk is their true X receiver, that jump ball guy, who I've talked a lot about on this show for what reasons. But Christian Gonzalez got trusted. He's only the second player ever to be trusted to cover Brandon Ayuk on the vast majority of his routes in a game. Impressive stuff there. The rest of the defensive backs played really well, I thought. Peppers made that great interception, a great read. He's another guy you can rely on. I was a fan of him in college. He didn't start his NFL career well, which really sucked to see. And I am very happy he found a home here and is performing well, living up to that high draft expectation. And he'll be here for a couple years, a great guy to have in the locker room and on the field. But they can cover as good as they can, and it wouldn't matter because our pass rush has just been horrendous. Like I said, it's been awful. It just needs to be better. I don't know where it comes from, but it needs to be better. I just hope Christian Barmore is back soon enough to fix that problem. But I will say, at this point in the draft, left tackle needs to be number one priority very easily. I don't think there's any arguing that. Everything else is like okay, kind of, but left tackle obviously is our biggest problem. After that, early second round, because we're probably going to have an early second round pick if we're being honest. It needs to be a versatile edge or an inside linebacker to pair with Bentley, because Tavai and McMillan are not doing a good enough job holding down the fort in Bentley's absence. And a guy I really like, a very athletic guy who is considered undersized but flies all over the field and is a very versatile player, is Nick Martin out of Oklahoma State. If you want someone to watch this guy. He is a true athlete, a versatile football player that I think can be successful at the next level. We'll see. I got to watch more film on him, but from what I have seen, the guy flies around the field and is super athletic and would make a great addition to our team. And I looked, is he getting mock drafted in the first round? He's really not. So he should be available as of right now. We'll see if his draft stock rises throughout the season. But as of right now, he should be available for the Patriots to select in the second round. So again, a name to keep your eye on. Nick Martin, Oklahoma State, number 4. I'm going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we are going to get into this week's matchup, the Patriots versus the Dolphins on Sunday. This is Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV.
Malo is my French bulldog. He made my heart bigger when he came in my life. He never really liked his food. He wouldn't eat till like 10 o'clock at night. To me, it was saying, oh, I guess I don't want to starve. He was having skin breakouts, and putting the 2 and 2 together, what you put into your body is what you get out. I know that if I'm eating a bunch of processed food, I'm not going to feel good. That kind of led me to Farmer's Dog. Immediately, his skin issues went away. I love what they're doing. It's already portioned out. He's eating whole foods. It's amazing.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12 plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
All right, welcome back to Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV. So earlier I posted, can it get worse than it has? The answer is yes, guys. Unfortunately, it can get worse than it has been. And we've been playing decent. But again, we're going against the Dolphins, who have looked terrible in themselves. It's going to be a really crappy game. But Tyler Huntley is their quarterback now. With Tua's injury and their backup quarterback, Skylar Thompson, getting injured, they turn to Huntley. Huntley's got some good success as a backup in his career, but the only offensive production the Dolphins have gotten in the past 2 weeks, with Huntley starting last night against the Titans and Skylar Thompson starting last week, their only touchdown has been a Huntley rushing touchdown last night. On the defensive side of the ball, they're letting up 25.8 points per game, so they're not locked down by any means. They let teams score on them. But back to Huntley, he likes to rush, and he likes to escape the pocket just like Brock Purdy does, and successfully did against us on Sunday. So if Keon White does not figure this out, Huntley is more athletic, will be able to make more flashy plays if we do not contain him. So yes, it can get worse than what we saw on Sunday against the 49ers, because Huntley is going to use his legs a lot more than Brock Purdy did. Okay, he's going to extend plays just like Purdy did, except he's probably going to get 5, 10, maybe 20 yards with a couple of moves more than what Brock Purdy got against us. Then you have Davonte Adams, who's one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. Now, has he been producing? Not so much, because the Dolphins have been playing from behind and haven't been able to get the rushing game involved in their offense too much. He had 15 rush yards on 10 attempts last week, and I think he had 14 yards receiving to pair with it. So what the Patriots need to do is get out to an early lead, just like every key to every game this year has been for the Patriots. Get out to an early lead so you can keep implementing your run and force the Dolphins to pass the ball more and not use A-Chain. On top of A-Chain, they do have a great 1-2 punch in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. What we have is Christian Gonzalez, who clamped up Tyreek Hill last year. You may remember the highlight. We were wearing our throwback jerseys, had that great interception on an underthrown Tua ball to Tyreek. But still, Tyreek did not perform well last year when Christian Gonzalez was on the field. On top of that, you got to worry about Waddle. There's no doubt Waddle is very talented himself. But Jonathan Jones has proven that he's done all right this year. He's still got something left in the gas tank, although he's getting up there in age. With the help of our safeties, Waddle shouldn't be a problem downfield. Neither should Tyreek. Their offensive line, average at best. So I think we can stop the run. Are we going to get pressure? Wishful thinking, I think, in my opinion. But we need to contain Tyler Huntley, and DeMarcus Covington has to drill that into Keon White's head this week. At practice, contain Huntley at all costs. You don't need the sack, you need the win. The win is more important than the sack. So just contain Huntley, and we'll win. And you can get praised. People will see the win and praise the whole team. Making me sick watching this. On their defensive side, Jalen Phillips got injured last night actually, and it's looking like he's not going to play. Reports are early, but are saying he's likely out for week 5. I'm not going to completely rule him out, but don't hold your breath on him playing. Outside of him, Bradley Chubb is still recovering from a torn ACL he suffered towards the end of last year. He's not ready to come back. They have Chop Robinson, the rookie, highly touted rookie out of Penn State. to make up for the pass rushing, but he really hasn't done much in the pass rushing game so far this year, so I'm not too worried about him, to be honest. Other than that, they have Calais Campbell, who is not nearly what he once was, is still a competent defensive tackle, and will still probably create pressure because David Andrews may be out, and then you're dealing with Nick Leverett and either a City So, who's still knocking off the rust, or the rookie Layden Robinson. So I'm still a little concerned about Campbell, but it's not like he was 5 years ago. Their secondary, to pair with Jordan Brooks, the linebacker they got from the Seahawks, who is very talented. They have Jalen Ramsey, Javon Holland, and Jordan Poyer may or may not play. You might remember him from his days with the Bills. He's now in Miami. If he doesn't play, Marcus May is their backup. I'm not really concerned about Marcus May, but Jalen Ramsey and Javon Holland are a really good pair of defensive backs that will be worrisome. The goal here is to get the run game going. I don't think Calais Campbell has that star-studded talent ability to stop the run himself. I don't think we're going to be getting much pressure in the backfield with the injuries to Bradley Chubb and Phillips. I think our offensive line, if mostly healthy, can hold up against their front seven guys. I think we have a chance to win this game. Jacoby Brissett should be able to fix his mistakes this week with more time in the pocket, make better throws, have better pocket presence. And I think we get out with a win, 16-13. That's my prediction. Book it. But don't be surprised if it all blows up in our face either. Guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next Tuesday. This is Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV. Peace, y'all.